it's Susan and Adam of Mods for Quads, and we are here today with Doug Smith from Ottawa, Canada. And Doug suffered an SCI previously as a professional hockey player. So I would like to ask him to tell his story, kind of what happened the day of, and take us from there as far as what your diagnosis was.
Well, it was pretty clear, my accident. I went full speed, about 25 miles an hour, head first pile driver into the end boards of a hockey rink and shattered the fifth and sixth cervical vertebrae in hundreds of pieces. You can see a picture of the spine, on my website if you want to go there to DougSmithPerformance.com. That's what happened to me.
Okay, well, and then what happens to somebody that breaks their neck? How long were you in the hospital? What was your initial thought? Did you know you broke your neck right away?
That's a lot of questions, but I was in the hospital bed for almost a year. I was taking 50 milligrams of Laratine, which is a knockout drug to sleep, and 250 milligrams a day of morphine.
Wow.
And so when my spinal cord injury occurred, when it occurred, I had no bladder, no bowels, no arms, and no legs. And so I had to start all over again with two little daughters. One was 2 years old, and one had been born a week before.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. So how old were you?
29.
29. And what were you, so you were in the bed for a year, just trying to survive, just trying to live, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we made a decision that the rehab center wasn't the place for me. We found that I was moving backwards in the rehabilitation center. And so as soon as that started to happen, we made a decision to get a hospital bed from a local hospital, moved into our home. And then my wife and the rest of the family would take care of me. And I swear, I mean, I dragged myself out of that bed because I wanted to participate with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
There was something that made me, and in my relationship with my youngest daughter now is amazing because we learned how to walk together at the same time. So my second time, her first.
So did you just kind of take your healing into your own hands since you were moving backwards? Were you like, I just need to get home and either die or like figure this out on my own?
Yeah, we took it into our own hands. Listening to the negative approach, which granted, it has to be that way because we live in a litigious society. So the medical system tends to lean on the it can't be done side because it keeps them out of legal ramifications. And so, I respect that. But the path we took was different than most people. Yet I find that when people take that path, they seem to get better faster. So, mine had a lot to do with cranial sacral therapy. I come from a long line of healers. My grandfather was a massage therapist. My aunt, his daughter, is a Reiki master, an RMT, and taught anatomy at a college level. So I was really fortunate to come from. Mm-hmm.
So how do you feel the cranial sacral was pertinent to your recovery? Would you say it was the majority of the reason you recovered, or it was like half of it? I mean, what did you think that did for your recovery?
Well, when you lie on the table, when you have somebody who knows what they're doing with cranial sacral therapy, and and you're gone, you're literally gone in 30, 40 seconds, and you wake up all of a sudden, and then and you wonder what happened, and there's less than 5 grams of pressure on the back of the skull or on the body to make this effective. And you go home, and for the next 3 days, the acceleration of your healing, because of you've had assistance with that pump that that pumps at 11 beats per minute, which is your cerebral fluid. And people don't know that, right? They don't understand. They think heart rate, they think breathing, but they don't think of the core rhythm of the body, which when you treat it, it reverberates out to the entire body. And nobody could tell me that you can't build connections that were lost when you're dealing with that core rhythm. But a lot of people still tend to ignore it, or not tell other people about it.
So did you not receive cranial sacral therapy for a year after your injury, or were you having that done even in the rehab facility?
At the time, they wouldn't let him in to the rehab center.
Really?
No, he was locked out. My craniosacral therapist, who was an RMT, and he's a naturopath, right?
Hmm. Do you think that would still be the case today, or do you think they would let him in?
Oh no, he's in there now.
Good.
He's in there now for sure. I was very involved in breaking down barriers in the Ottawa hospital system, because when they didn't let me do what I wanted to do, I went right to the CEO.
Nice.
And I encourage the listeners to do that. If you're not getting service the way that you feel you should be serviced in the system, in the hospital system, then just go to the CEO. It's a business.
Yeah.
And, just do it. Don't hesitate.
That's one of the big pushes of Mods for Quads is we realize that rehab facilities and doctors need to save everyone's lives that has an SCI and put them back together as much as possible. And then they don't really want to be liable for much. So we want to help people get educated on what's out there to help further your healing and how to take it into your own hands to make sure you just keep moving forward. And
Yeah, and reach out. Like I've tried everything. There isn't anything that I haven't tried. I've been in an exoskeleton, changed my life, changed my life. All the things, most of the things that I've tried that some people are sitting here listening at home going, oh, I've never tried that. That's just too strange. I've tried them all. And almost every one of them, there were some duds, but almost every one of them made a positive difference in my recovery. Why would I listen to anybody else?
yeah. Well, tell us now. I know that you always probably kind of had that athletic brain that you wanted to take, you know your body really well, you know how to visualize, imagine that with pain comes gain. Um, but you took that to an entire new level, which your whole career now is based around healing trauma in the brain. And you're walking, you've been on TED Talks. And so tell us a little bit about that journey. Like, so you're at age 29, you took a year to get out of the hospital. And then from there, how old are you now? Can we say? Can we
Yeah,
ask?
yeah, I'm 58.
Okay,
I
so
just I just turned 58.
you're post recovery, like 30 years, pretty much. Um, what's
Yeah, so
happened?
after a year in a hospital bed, I I I started walking again. I had to get off all medication to get my bladder functioning. I remember the last half of morphine pill that I had in the bottle. I still remember it today, but 6 weeks after I got off all my pain meds and started dealing with my stuff, my bladder started working again. And then I, started learning how to walk and doing stepping. And for 13 years I worked at that. And then finally, I started to skate after 13 years. And then I got my skating back to the point where I was playing with the Ottawa Senators Alumni Association and guys who had just retired from the NHL last year. And I was scoring goals like crazy, just like I was back, so I really, I was fortunate to get all that back. I have no extension in my right hand. I have hypersensitive left arm. I have a spastic right calf. My foot's starting to drop in my left foot, but it did come back. I have trouble with it now. And then my left leg, I spend most of my time on, because it seems to be almost normal. So, and then my bladder and my bowels work perfectly. My bladder is, I'm 58, I guess, so it's not working that great, but so that's my status today. And after I learned how to skate again and walk, I started several businesses. I learned the hard way. I had a couple of bad ones, and then a couple of good ones. And now I apply all my time into my writing, and I own a publishing company. And we move a tremendous amount of content, not just from me, but from the universities as well, across Canada.
Nice. Well, tell me about the day, because I remember when you and I had our first conversation, you said, my head hit the boards and immediately I knew if I lived, boom. Do you want to go into that talk or not so much?
Yeah, well, it was like a flip book. When I hit the boards, I heard my neck break. It's the weirdest feeling when you hear that in your skull. And I was conscious. And when I fell to the ice, and you can see the pictures on my website, okay, go to my website and look at the pictures and look at the video. I fell to the ice with my head on my gloves and I was lying on my stomach. All the ligaments in the back of my neck were torn and my neck was broken in hundreds of places. So the only thing that was supporting me were my hands. And as I lay on the ice, knowing the trouble that I was in, it was like a flip book that I could, those movie books that, or the books you can make a movie out of when you flip through them. And
Yeah.
I was able to stop it at certain places in my life. Um, and it wasn't the places where I had scored a big goal or got an assist or won an award or been told I was great. It was all I could stop it at were the places where I had not thanked people or treated people inappropriately or hurt somebody else or not shown up for somebody. So I made a commitment right there on the ice when I was lying there that if I got out of this situation, if I survived, that I would come back and I would do better than I had done in professional sports. And that was a profound statement at the time, having my professional sports career just ended a second ago, and I'm making a statement that I'm going to go higher than I did in sports. It's crazy stuff. And now here I am. And right now I probably average 3 to 5 people a day get to me with testimonials about how my work has changed their life, how my books have literally transformed people and given them a rail to run on and a system to grow.
And what is the basis behind or the message behind your books and your coaching?
Well, it's all about change, and change is hard. Change is like trauma. But if we don't look at change and trauma and study it and how it works inside the brain and how we can overcome our fear of it, then we're going to spend our time running around like there's a dinosaur chasing us all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you use a system, you can make that dinosaur go away. And so I developed a system, a simple process that people pick it up and they look at it and they go, oh, now I have to do something. And it's not hard. It's not like lifting weights. I hate lifting weights. I hate working out. My wife makes me work out 3 times a week. She makes me get up. Like I don't want to do it. I never have. If I don't use my own work that I developed, then I start to slip. And I've talked to other people who have used it for years, because this is the 10th anniversary of the trauma code that I
Nice.
wrote. Yeah. 10th
Happy
anniversary.
anniversary.
Yeah, and I'm giving away, anybody that wants it can send me a note through my website, and I'm giving away my first book, Thriving in Transition, which is an award-winning story, and it's got some really cool hacks in it. Really, really cool hacks.
Okay, well, we'll put that information below on our YouTube channel.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Did they ever give you any statistics as far as like if you were supposed to walk at all ever again?
Oh yeah, when I was moved to the rehab center, they had my file which was quadriplegic on my bed. I saw it when they were transferring me. That set me back weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, because I had never seen it. Like I had never believed where I was. Like when you're there, you don't believe you're there, right? You think it's going to get better. Like, and this, and they left my file on the bed, and they allowed me to see it.
You feel like if you'd have never heard that word and that's what your diagnosis was, you would have recovered a lot faster?
Oh, like if you keep the negative stuff out of your way and you don't put it in front of you, and you allow yourself to grow to your maximum possible ability. Just allow yourself to grow to your maximum possible ability. You'll be so much happier, right? And but
Yeah.
what trauma does is it if we don't study it and we don't understand it, is it backs us into a jail cell, and we close the doors on our own. We lock the doors, and some of us even throw the key out, and then you're gone,
Yeah.
right? You're gone, and it happens to young people too. And you don't have to be gone. It's not a requirement. So what my work does today is it allows you to see that that's happening. Because if you don't see it happening, what do, right? And if you're in a hospital bed, you're watching this thinking, can you recover from this? The answer is yes. And I wouldn't let anybody tell you the answer is no. Now,
Mhm.
if you've got a complete injury, I'd hippity hop on as much technology as I could get my hands on, because you're not going to walk again, right? Very unlikely. I mean, I haven't heard of a complete spinal cord injury getting all their faculties back. Not
Right.
yet, anyways. But if it's an incomplete injury, like, come on. I mean, pound a new pathway. My brain pounded a new pathway. That I'm convinced that my brain, with the help of craniosacral and a lot of other modalities, supported, my central nervous system, so my brain could find a new path to what it needed. And in time, because the way that I look at this from all the studying I've done is, when you're born, your mitochondria get a ripcord. Each mitochondria, this power center of your cell, is pulled, and you get that ripcord and your engine's running, and your brain is designed to keep that engine running after that one pull, but it's not designed to start it if it stops. But when you have a spinal cord injury, all those mitochondria connected to your brain start slowing down like gyroscopes. They just start slowing down.
Mhm.
And so over 18 months, what happens to those gyroscopes without a connection to the brain is unbelievable. I
Yeah.
spoke at the University of Pennsylvania's Brain Repair Center. Don't pretend it doesn't exist. That you got to get on your horse, and you got to get on your horse fast, and you got to get people in your family finding the people in the marketplace that can help you. And don't just trust one source. Hospitals have saved my life. I've woken up in the hospital 6 times. Uh, you know, I have so much faith in when I'm in the hospital and I'm hurt really badly. But when it's time to heal, get the heck away from the hospital. That's not what they're supposed to do. It's like going to see, um, a carpenter to take care of your finances, or you know a finance guy to build you a beautiful log cabin. Don't do that.
Yeah. Right. Having a cleaning lady operate on your
Yeah,
roof.
well, we're convinced because we're hurt.
Yeah.
That's what happens. We're hurt, so we feel that's what we need around us. And I think the people that are with me today, like you guys, you agree, right? When it's time to heal, you got to start searching, searching,
Well,
searching,
and to know
searching.
that the power is within, there's so much out there to come together as a community, and to know that the brain's constantly growing neurons. It's the most fascinating organ on the planet, if you ask me. And now that we know even more, and all the stuff that you're studying with the artificial intelligence and everything, I mean, it needs to be broadcasted out that if your central nervous system is intact, it can be retuned, almost like a piano.
Yes, it can be retuned. I agree with you. And there's something that when I present, I even carry these books with me because they're a reminder. But do you mind if I show you a couple of the books that
No, of
changed my
course.
audience? I just quickly, here's a little thing a fan made but when I was with the Buffalo Sabres. Keeps me young.
The hairdo is not representative, but whatever.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I didn't like hair. So here's the two books,
Nice.
right? Now, the first book, volume one, see that That's coding. So the brain is being coded. That's linear, right? It's all linear data going into the brain. So that happens first to the brain. Now, the second thing that happens, not the first thing, is consciousness. And those are the waves.
Cool.
And so there's a gap in between coding and consciousness. That means the environment around the brain is more critical than the brain itself. And if you have a spinal cord injury, you're relying on your brain. That's what you're relying on. So everything around your brain has to be supportive of what you're trying to achieve. It works the same way in business, right?
Yeah.
It works the same way in building a wall or in a dam or doing anything in life. So coding, consciousness. If you remember that and you know that there's a gap in between, then you'll probably be more careful and selective about the people who you ask to help you heal. And if you make that decision early enough in the injury, if you get this stuff that I'm talking about early enough, and I'll give you this stuff that I've got here, no problem. Then what'll happen is you'll start to grow as opposed to being afraid and shrinking. So that's just the way I look at it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Adam?
I mean,
Yeah. Does that make sense to you, Adam, after your experience? Good.
Adam is one of many words. Well, I mean, it's kind of like, even if you related it to business, you have to do 100 cold calls to get one sale. You have to do 100 intentions with your brain to lift some glasses to get a finger to move, and then it just keeps building on itself. So it's a lot of work, but your neurons do grow and reconnect. And I mean, Adam is able to work his way across a pool doing laps just by all of those things, intention and proprioception, and and the next thing you know, he's across the pool.
Yeah, excellent.
So, well, we have gathered so much information. I can't wait for people to be able to dive into your books and all the other resources that you've given me. You're just a plethora of information. And sometimes when I talk to you, I get off the phone and my mind's a little boggled. So we'll have to.
I hope it hasn't been too much. It's based on the building blocks. My stuff is the building blocks of mental performance. If you want to simplify it,
Yeah.
Everything that I do during the day is about the building blocks, making them stronger, making them faster, making them more prosperous, making them happier, right? So I play with these blocks like a little kid, right? And I wish that other people would play with these building blocks that I developed. So just reach out to me if
yeah. And if you play with enough blocks, then you build a masterpiece, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time. You and I will connect after the call for our next interaction. And thank you so much
Thanks very much, Susan.
Okay.